Okay, so as those of us in Mormon studies know, there's a strong dynamic of insider-outsiderness, whether that be Mormonism in the United States or outside of the United States, or in a religion or not in a religion. Do you have any thoughts now that you've become a Mormon studies scholar about that dynamic and your own experience with it?
Yeah, I mean, I think what's really interesting, and I think what fascinates people about Mormons, and especially outsiders, and this is true for scholars too, is that Mormons have remained in some ways the white ethnic, a stable white ethnic. And I think that's really interesting to think about in terms of especially how outsiders in American history have become insiders and worked to become insiders. And Mormons, in some ways, are the greatest example of folks who were religious folks in particular who were once considered not white enough, as Paul Reeve and others have argued, have succeeded in becoming white Americans, in fact, exemplary white Americans. One thing that I think is particularly true about Mormons is that they remain, and because of their historical experience, right? They've been persecuted and ridiculed and attacked both by everyday Americans, but also the American government. And so even today, Mormons still remain in a lot of ways wedded to that understanding of as a persecuted, isolated religious minority. And so one of the things I'm able to do because of my kind of intimate experiences growing up in and around Mormon communities, or at least close to Mormon communities, I'm able to tell my story as a way to say, hey, listen, I'm not a Mormon, but I understand you, and I appreciate you, and demonstrating that sincerity allows me to have access to their stories, their very personal, Mormons' personal stories, but also in some ways structurally access to institutional sources like the archives. I demonstrate my sincerity, which is also sincere, when I'm talking with the folks who hold the keys to the archives at, say, the Church History Library.
The other thing I was going to say that I noticed about your book to supplement what you just said is that you took the time to read the Book of Mormon. Mm-hmm. You took the time to take it seriously. Mm-hmm. And a lot of non-Mormon scholars don't do that, and it really jeopardizes the arguments that they then make. So I think that is a way that you can bridge that gap between insider and outsider, and that's something I really appreciated about the text.
Yeah, what is the phrase I use? Intentional illiteracy, right? That really does hamstring non-Mormons' ability to access the Mormon world.